All right, welcome everyone back to my weekly hangout where I have a bunch of special guests on. So I hope you guys get some enjoyment out of this because me and my special guest today already had a conversation, I think 2 weeks ago, going on this point, and it was so good. And it was actually over an hour long. And I'm thinking that we should have double recorded it because we're probably going to talk about some of the same stuff, but some different stuff. So with that being said, let me introduce who I have on today. Her name is Dr. Madeline Barlow, and I always have a backstory about the folks that I invite on my hangout because what this did was it took the place of me BSing on the phone every week and not recording any of my conversations. So now what we're doing is recording them live for you because they were all so valuable. And how I met, and it's I love calling her Dr. Madeline now because how I met Dr. Madeline was years ago while she was a high school student. And she came to she was a participant in our CrossFit program, and she was a great athlete to train. She was a hard worker. You could literally tell her like anything to do, and she would just do it. She was one of those athletes that you're like, I want you to go run through that wall, and you're like, well, what's that wall made of? She didn't care. She didn't care. She would just run through it. So, that's what kind of athlete she was. And, it was such an honor to train her. And she eventually went on. She swam in Bloomsburg. And, I'm going to let her tell you about the other specifics I'm going to ask her about. But, I connected with her because I don't know how I bumped. Oh, I think I was asking about her through some mutual friends that we know. And when they mentioned her name, I had looked her up on Instagram because I'm like, I just wonder what she's doing. And then I saw what she was doing, and I immediately contacted her. It was like, we need to talk. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest today. And I'd like to first start out is anything I missed in our interactions, you could fill in. But what I really want to hear is what are you doing? All right. Because I find it interesting the way you're helping athletes now. Where do you work? What led you to start this new venture that you're kind of going on? And we'll talk about your social media and stuff like that later. But go ahead, Dr. Madeline. You take the floor.
It's still so funny to hear someone say Dr. Madeline Barlow. So
I
thank
love
you.
it.
I
I,
appreciate
I
it.
love it.
Yeah. And it is funny, again, that we know each other from pre-doctor. So I actually think I might have been in college though when I was, yeah,
Really?
I
Okay.
was, so which is fine. No worries. I think I was just finishing my sophomore year of college, maybe.
hmm
I have a young face though, so it's fine. It makes
Yeah, and
sense.
I'm really old,
Um,
so my memory's gone.
so I think I was maybe a sophomore in college when I joined CrossFit. I think it was 2011, which it seems wild how long ago
Yeah.
that was. And I do remember that you were my first coach at CrossFit. I will say right now, I'm not lying. You were definitely my favorite. I liked your style the most, which is very true. But I also know that after my first like trial day or whatever it was called back then, I went home and I threw up in my driveway. I will never forget it because I ate too soon before that and it didn't go well. I'll never ever forget it. But you were right. I wasn't overtly competitive. I always used to say I was the least competitive athlete you'd ever meet because I didn't like being competitive, if that makes sense.
hmm
But it was more so that I felt this need to be. It was this belief or this mindset that I developed through swimming. And like you said, I swam all the way through college. So from 8 to 22, lots of years of swimming, lots of years of having that competitive aspect in my environment, in my life, in my mind. And because of that, that did lead me to study psychology because one, I really appreciate people. I understand people more than I understand numbers. So I wanted to learn more about them. Why do we do what we do? Right. So that's what I did in undergrad, which led me to my master's program where I decided to just do general psychology. And that's for a reason, because I could have done sports psychology, stayed in the sport realm. But when I finished swimming, the moment I touched the wall and I knew based on my time that it was the last race I would ever swim competitively, it felt like a piece of me had died. And from that moment on, you know, again, very visceral reaction. I wanted nothing to do with swimming. I wanted nothing to do with sport for the next couple of months. It was just pretty traumatic for me, really. So yeah, so I went to do my master's program in general psychology, did some more research on, you know, anxiety, on beliefs, actually. This is kind of funny, on beliefs that we hold on to really tightly. And we have a challenge releasing them or reframing them, which we'll talk about today, actually. But from there in time, something was missing. All of a sudden, within a number of months, it's like, what is that? What's going on? What am I missing? I will be honest, I didn't miss getting up at 5:30 and jumping in a cold pool. Didn't miss that. What I did miss was being a part of something, being a part of a community, which swimming did give me for so many years. So then I decided to look into sports psychology programs at the doctoral level. And I was lucky enough to get into Temple University and work with Dr. Michael Sachs, who I have to shout out because he's just wonderful.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, and I love that you know him too. It's awesome. Yeah, so, and I was able to work with him for the last 4 years at Temple, where I ended up studying the transition out of sport. So again, because of my personal experience with it, I decided to look into that and that athlete identity, that mindset that you have because of being an athlete and how it does allow you to perform optimally. It also can lead to some pretty intense challenges when you lose that, sport, or when you're faced with, again, some overtly competitive environments. So that's been the journey thus far. I am currently working at Drexel University. I work with all of our teams, so current athletes, and helping them, again, to have a positive athletic experience through mental skills training. And then I'm also starting my own business, or have started, just kidding, have started, and I'm doing an awesome job. It's super fun, working with athletes specifically as they are navigating the transition out of sport. So that is the journey right there.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
you loaded me up with questions because I'm just curious about so many things that you said there. And I was a competitive athlete as well. And sometimes competitive athletes do come out of the process, actually, because I bet you when you were being recruited, people said, you are going to be able to perform in life because we want student athletes. Think about the experience you get as a student athlete, right? And you would never think that being a student athlete can go so wrong.
Yes.
You would never think that because it's hard for me to relate, right? I understand it, but it's hard for me to relate because I didn't have that experience. Now, with that being said, and I understand it exists, I totally understand it exists.
Of course. Everyone's experience is different. I appreciate your perspective.
Yeah. But so my question is, what was it that the competitive college athlete experiences during their 4 years or whatever it is that you think would possibly lead to issues later?
Yeah. So again, just appreciating everybody's differing experience. And I can speak for myself, but also from the research that I did do. Athletic identity is a big component of this. So it makes a lot of sense that if you, especially if you specialize. So I only swam, that was it. A number of people that eventually go to college to compete specialize at one point or another in an attempt to, be the best they can in that sport. Now that's a whole nother conversation we can have, whether specializing is good or not.
Right.
But I did specialize in swimming. I think I played field hockey for 2 months in 8th grade, and that was it. That was the only other experience. So I really deeply developed the identity of swimmer. You were in class and it's the first day of class doing icebreakers. Tell us something about yourself, like a fun fact. Hi, I'm Madeline. I'm a senior here and I'm a swimmer. Always. That was my thing. So the deeper you develop this unique athlete identity, this soul identity, so you're not exploring other roles, basically, The deeper that is, the stronger, so higher on the scale that is, the more positive effects you'll have in terms of performance, right? You are more likely to perform well. However, you are more likely to have certain potentially psychological disturbances, like after the fact. So it's grief. That's what's happening. Genuinely experience grief and loss and lack of direction because you have not explored other roles, other realms, and how you as the person fit into the world outside of your sport. You basically think, oh, without my sport, what's the point? Who am I?
You have
I'm
no
worthless.
identity.
You have nothing. So that again, there's a catch-22 of having a strong athlete identity. And so it's something many athletes experience, especially high-level athletes.
Yep. Yeah. And what I found just dealing with athletes is, and we're talking, I know you have specific experience with personally with swimming. I find swimming very time consuming as a sport. I do.
Yes.
I find it so time consuming, especially in the current climate where I don't know if it was like this when you were in high school, but having to juggle between club and high school is crazy.
Yes.
And the amount of time they spend traveling or going to swim practice or time in the water, it leads me to believe, like, how much did you miss out on? You know what I mean? Doing that all year long, like social development, which is still important in those years, maybe different, like, so let's go even deeper. If say you were a swimmer and you weren't the best swimmer, but you committed at the same time, so you never had a leadership role. You were just kind of just on the team, right? But you never got that opportunity to go do something else where you would have excelled, and not in sports, let's just say something else, where you became a leader of your peers, because having leadership kind of qualities is a great quality. And sometimes when your identity on the team is just the team player and you're not the person that everyone's looking up to, and you didn't experience that ever, I find that's a gap.
Yes.
That's a gap. And we talked about specializing in here, and I'm saying this as a parent. All right.
Sure. Right.
I have 3 boys, and I don't care what they do. I just want them to be active. That's number one. Awesome. I don't care if they play a sport or they want to do theater, but if they're going to pick something, like if they want to do theater, let's do a lot of theater, but you also have to be active. Yeah. And also, if you're going to be a star soccer player, well, guess what? You're also going to be really good at the piano.
Sure.
Because I want them, because I saw that with me also, is I focused only on soccer up to a certain point, right? And that's all I really played. And I really feel like I missed out on a lot of opportunity as a high school athlete transitioning to college. I really feel like I missed out. And I think that's happening socially with a lot of these high school athletes, especially swimmers.
Right. Absolutely. You're so right. It is such a gap because, and I just posted something similar to this yesterday, what is the classic line that when I think of it, I think of swimmers saying this. Oh, sorry, I can't, I have practice. Oh, sorry, I can't, I have a meet.
Yep.
Because if you're not at practice, you're at a meet. If you're not at a meet, you're at practice.
Exactly.
If you're not at either, you're sleeping because you're so tired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it really didn't allow for that much space, any, if you really wanted to be committed to the sport, if the sport mattered. And so you're very, very spot on. There's just, you're missing something. I actually got emotional when you said, again, something along the lines of just like, what experiences did you miss out on? I think about that often for myself personally, but also when I'm looking at and speaking to the current athletes I'm working with, and now with the former athletes, I sometimes even think, you are missing out on your childhood a bit, right? You're missing out on some of those classic elements that the non-athlete may get. And so we often think, or like put athletes up on this pedestal, right? Like they are superhuman.
Oh yeah.
But it's also a sad component of they didn't get to do that. They didn't get to try that. So there's really some amazing positives that you can get
Yeah.
from being an athlete, but
It's
there's a downfall too.
there is too, and you know, we didn't talk a lot about swimmers last time we talked,
Mm-mm.
and we, you know, I'm the strength coach for almost
Mhm.
everyone that goes through Council Rock. We did Penn
Yep.
Aquatics. Like, I'm pretty well known in this, and I have a lot of contacts with a lot of swimmers. And here's what I'm
Yeah.
seeing, honestly, and it goes down to the physiological level. So you ready to get your mind blown? Why I
Yeah.
think there's really a problem, and
They're
I'm gonna
ready.
talk about females specifically
Sure.
for one
Okay.
reason. Okay, a female hormonal profile is a lot different than a male's.
Yep.
A lot.
Right. Sure.
Women's main biological function, what your body always wants to do as protection, is to make sure you're reproductive all the
Mm-hmm.
time. That's your body's main focus. So it'll play around with your hormones so you
Mm-hmm.
have a healthy reproductive system.
Yeah.
That's what it does. As soon as you get women who I see aren't well fed, where they don't pay attention nutritionally, right?
Yeah.
And then they're
Sure.
overtraining. They're
Right.
overtraining because of pressures, maybe given by their parents, maybe given by
Mhm.
a college scholarship, to be at a deficit. So let me paint this picture. I'm not
Yeah.
going to mention anyone's name. Top level swimmer
Mm-hmm.
in the pool per day, maybe 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gets up early in the morning. Because they don't understand, right? There's a female doesn't understand, doesn't eat enough before practice, doesn't eat anything because it's early, drinks maybe a little bit of water. Number one, they're dehydrated. Now we're
Yep.
asking them to tear down muscle tissue, right? And
Yeah.
what's happening? Hormones also rebalance to fix that. Now we do this for months, for days, for years. Now all of a sudden
Right.
during the swim season, everyone gets sick, right? Immune
Yep.
system is suppressed. It is. You can relate.
Everybody
Every
gets sick at
swim
the
season, you
same
get
time.
sick.
Every
This is
time.
suppression of the immune system by a low protein diet or not enough calories with stress of school, not
Right.
enough sleep, overtraining. Are
Yeah.
you telling me that that doesn't have a psychological effect?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
that's a recipe for a disaster. I know
Yep.
when I'm a little hangry, and maybe I've exercised, right? And I'm a male. My hormone is the other way. I have
Sure.
testosterone, which is actually a feel-good anabolic hormone.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
estrogen is more protective, fat producing, because you guys
Yeah.
need that in
See,
order to
that's
stay
interesting. I didn't
reproductive.
know that. That's
Yeah,
actually, thank you
it's
for that.
crazy, right?
It's interesting.
So now all of a sudden, we wonder why these female athletes are losing their period, right?
Sure.
We wonder why hormones are never in balance. And then we look at that athlete at 30 years old, at 35 years old. And you know what it transfers to? They have no success with nutritional coaching because their
Mm.
hormonal profile has been screwed up from the amount of swimming, the lack of sleep, the stress of school, not
Yep.
enough eating, and repeat, no time off.
Yeah.
If people really need to start looking at that, because I'm talking about that with my nutrition coaches because they're female and they specialize and they know a
Right.
lot about female nutrition. So they're schooling me and I'm schooling them from, I've been training swimmers for 10 years. There's a massive cold that goes around, just zaps everybody,
Yeah.
you know, because, and then we just take it further, be like, let's look at some of these women who I've noticed over the years that have come back from like maybe college, going to a unfamiliar place where they don't feel secure and are having to kind of perform. I could
Yeah.
see why your job is so important at Drexel,
Yeah.
you know.
Sure.
And with that being said, what are you mostly dealing with? What kinds of problems are you seeing the college student athlete coming in and saying, we need some help here? What are
Sure.
you seeing?
Yeah. So I will even reframe the word problem though,
Mm-hmm.
just because, you know, oftentimes I do get seen as the fixer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is part of it. You hear the word psychology, and you think of, oh, this person's going to fix my problem. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just something people want to work on or enhance. Actually, let's flip it. We'll flip it to, this is what I want to enhance because I know it will make me better.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's usually how I try to go about working with people. The one thing though, what you're talking about, one thing that really comes up is confidence. So that is a big thing, and it comes up for both, men and women. But it's always coming up. The way that these athletes speak to themselves. You would never speak to a friend like that. You never would. You just wouldn't. So I have them do things like they'll look at a their teammate and I'll say, okay, think in your head the meanest thing you've ever said to yourself about your performance. Maybe it's right after a poor performance or a mistake, whatever. And I'll have them think of that. I'm like, okay, you got it. Okay, turn to your teammate, say it to them. Say it to them like you were telling them how much they suck.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's
Wow.
so poignant.
Mm-hmm.
It makes such a point because the way we speak to ourselves, and I'm not immune to this either.
Yeah.
I work on it every day.
Yeah.
But that's one of the biggest things is changing the way we talk to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
adjusting some of the beliefs that we have been conditioned to hold on to and think we need, or the perspectives we have, like focusing only on winning, because clearly sport culture teaches you in general, that winning at all costs is all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that is what often can lead to, again, some of those disturbances in terms of what people choose to control putting into their body. So food
Mm-hmm.
or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
Same with though, injury, because you're pushing through pain by overriding your body's cues to be like, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you're doing that because you're conditioned to believe that's the only way you're going to be your best.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to do it. So those are some of the things that come up. Again, those are pretty, or often are ingrained beliefs that I work with my athletes to reframe. You're reconditioning or relearning
Mm-hmm.
the beliefs that serve you
Mm-hmm.
as a person. So it will be different.
Yeah.
Person to person, of
Oh
course.
yeah.
But those are I would say those are the biggest things that come up.
That's that's so interesting. You know what I used to think about, because we had this conversation before. I was gonna go back for my doctorate. I applied to Temple. That's why I know Dr.
It's
Sachs.
awesome.
But and I was gonna go for sports psychology because I really believe that the mind was such a powerful thing, and really what convinced me later in life that the mind is the most powerful muscle that you have is watching my wife go through 3 labors with no pain medication.
Oh my God, Laura, congrats.
Yeah.
Zero.
I know. She's a savage. So she's listening and she'll hear it again on YouTube. But
amazing.
it was, and then you really believe, you're like, the mind is so powerful to get you to do what you want to do. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
So I train a lot of high school athletes, and I train some of the best of the best in this area, right? And then when you know what happens, they go to college and all of a sudden they're not the best of the best, right? So that's a hit on their confidence already.
Yeah.
Then let's put into some other things into play. Again, they're in a strange area. Now, let's just say they don't get along with the person they picked to be their roommate. That's another threat to my security. I don't feel safe. Let's just say now they're having problems with the boyfriend or girlfriend they went to school with from home. Now they lost the intimacy portion of their relationship. And it's like, now I don't, again, that's another knock on my safety, my security, my confidence is gone. This is not my house. I don't like my roommate. School is stressful. It's different. It's different than whatever I've ever experienced. And then we start to really look at that. And I really think there needs to be, your profession needs to exist in every school. And it doesn't have to be until it doesn't have to be until someone has a perceived issue, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to come to that. This is we're working with everyone here because I get it. There's so many uncontrollables that go wrong for you going into college, and then there's all this stuff available in college. So we could just say that there's drugs available, there's alcohol available, right? So then at that age, as far as your behavior, you're still learning from peers. Like there's only a certain age you learn from your parents, and then it switches over to modeling peers. And when you're in such a vulnerable state, in the one I just explained, and you're turning to different things, you're also maybe getting connected with the wrong people, not in your sport, you know what I mean? Or people in your sport that are just the wrong people.
Right. People that just don't align with who you are.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you change as a person, right? And you come home. I've seen ton of athletes come home, and you know what their friends tell me? He's not the same guy anymore. Or she's not the same girl. It's just not her. You know, and I hear it over and over and over again. So I'm just so happy that people that can relate, and, people in your profession are out there and are doing
Yeah.
something, because I'm a strength coach. I'm also a coach. And then part of that
Yeah.
is like giving advice to people, because these kids, they
Right.
trust me, they really,
Yes.
really do trust
Yes.
me. And it's taken me a long time to realize the stuff I told you and why that was happening. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. I mean, and
Yeah.
then what does that transfer to now when you're now at your stage? They're done with their 4 years, right? Because what you're doing now
Yeah.
is like, now what are the issues we're dealing with?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
do they have a hard time finding a job, or do they have a bad relationship with food as an adult, a bad relationship with exercise as an adult? And is that what you're helping people get through? I mean, what's your goal now? I mean, I suggest everyone go follow Dr. Madeline Barlow's social
Thank you.
media, because her
Yes.
Instagram is so good. She puts out gems, and when I read them, it makes me think. I mean, the way I prepare for
Good.
this call is I just thumb through her social media for a couple
Perfect.
days, and I'm like, what do I want to talk about? And just for the record, we haven't hit on any of that stuff.
It's fine. I'm very available right now, so we can talk other times about it too.
This is all just casual conversation here,
Yeah.
because I just find it so interesting. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about what's going on now.
Yeah.
What your mission is there, and and where you think your value lies,
Yeah.
as far as helping people.
Yeah. So again, I have all the stuff I'm doing at Drexel, which are the things we've talked about thus far, more or less, which is helping current athletes either prior, like you said, prior to them experiencing some of these challenges that are bound to happen. I myself had a challenging experience with a roommate. That's putting it super lightly, and it did change me, like you said, and I still work through that. Right. It really influenced the way I felt about myself, the way I believed certain things, or just experienced the world. It can change your perspective. So acknowledging that, it's really helped me inform what I do now, basically. So all these experiences, so that relationship experience, dynamics with teammates, and the sport in general, like you were saying, the relationships with exercise and food are avenues that I help my former athletes navigate, because what is it that's happening? Yeah, they don't have a good relationship with exercise and food, the people that I work with, just like I didn't. I absolutely wrote off high intensity exercise for a long time, and sometimes I still do, because it doesn't fully, it's just not me.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
No, it is fine, and that makes sense. No, it makes sense, because high intensity exercise is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Not.
I run anxious. I've always overtly run anxious, and often that can actually, enhance that anxiety. But it took me forever on my own. That's the thing. It took me forever on my own, without a coach, without guidance, to acknowledge what types of movement I actually do feel aligned with. And so again, from personal experience, I love walking. Walking is my absolute favorite thing, because I like being in nature. I like looking around, and I like feeling more in tune with my body. I really like yoga now. I like stretching, even just stretching as its own thing, light weights, things like that. And, the occasional, the occasional jump squat or something, the occasional thing. But that was a process for me. So that's one part of the process, that through my programs for my business, I am helping former athletes. Currently, I have the group program that's just catered to female former athletes. But I work with both men and women to, again, recondition or relearn who they are, first of all, how they fit into the world now without their sport. And again, what does that mean in terms of movement? What does that mean in terms of the foods that their body actually wants? Their body is like calling for, please give me that. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Versus just the habitual reaching for things that they thought they wanted.
Yeah.
They thought made them feel good, but maybe not so much. So again, those are just a couple of examples, but the main key is helping these individuals tune in, like really find stillness to be able to tune in and listen.
Yeah.
Listen to their body and minds, wants and needs, because they've shut that down.
Yeah. Yeah.
For so long.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like myself, I shut it down. And then after sport, I shut it down harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't even have an outlet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example of parts of the process that my program guides and empowers
Yeah.
former athletes through, so they can create the success that they want, whatever that looks like to them.
Exactly. It was so interesting. You know, when you said about high intensity exercise, and I'll tell you my experience with athletes and
Yeah.
high intensity and stuff. And high intensity exercise does have a certain hormonal effect to your body. It does.
Right.
Not, and we're not talking about reproductive hormones, where testosterone, estrogen. I'm talking about stress hormones.
Yes.
That everyone's experienced. Now, some people don't handle them well. Like, so I just this failed such a bad word. I failed a stress assessment. I had a stress assessment done. So I scored abnormally high on both things. I'm very tired and wired. I'm anxious all day. So and what's crazy is, do you know high intensity exercise actually amplifies the effect of that?
Well, let's think about it. It is a trauma to your body.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And same with swimming. So again, I'm a swimmer, so I'm going to continue to use swimming as an example, but swimming or any sport, when you're training, that's trauma.
It is.
And trauma turns on your fight or flight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that increases the stress hormone. So that's what we're talking about. That. Yeah. And I myself had like chronic stress that sent me to the doctor.
You know what the crazy thing is? Because people like you and I are all or nothing.
Yes.
So here's what I had to do later in life, which I probably should have done this earlier. I still do high intensity activity.
Sure.
I don't do it every day.
Yeah.
I don't do it every day. Like, I'm going to go walk later. I did some like circuit weightlifting today. That was a modification of our CrossFit daily workout. And I took the class, but I made the exercises different and I slowed down the pace. And because I didn't want that stress response, because and that's what I'm trying to tell people that come to us. See, this is the mental aspect, is some people that are like us, they take a lot of convincing to let them know that, like, listen, it's okay to tone it down. Don't even put any weights on the bar. Relax. Don't do the runs every round. Why don't you take that as a 2-minute break instead of a run? But people like us that come into a program like mine want to compete, because we want to feel like we're part of it again, right? As soon as that clock goes on, as soon as the coach starts talking, we get that feeling, right? Yeah. And we're able to go to like this dark place, and it's like, you should not go there every day.
Right.
Not every day, but I deal with this all the time. I have athletes come back that just want to push. And it's like, yeah, we're going to have to, and I've learned, like, we're going to have a talk up front and like kind of and tone this down, because I went through it. I'm injured because of it. You know, I'm like, and it's my own fault. It's because my mindset wasn't right. And you need to reframe, and you're talking about it. I mean, you need to reframe the way you look at why you're eating, right? You're not eating anymore to be a certain weight because you're a wrestler, right? You're not doing that anymore. You are eating to be a healthy, functional human being, and that's different. You know, you're not eating anymore because you're worried about being in your bathing suit every day on the pool deck, right? You're not eating like that anymore. You're eating like to be a healthy human being, like, you know what I mean? And people, and I get it, people have problems with that. Ex-athletes, like, it's so, it exists more than you think. It does.
Oh,
it exists more than you would think.
Well, really, it's this, you know, again, you take an athlete, especially if they have competed at least through college, if not, you know, professionally of some sort, that's a whole nother ballgame. But if you're competing through college, you absolutely have been a competitive athlete for over a decade. Easy, right? Some people, it's like 16, 17 years even, depending on how young you are. And it doesn't take that long to develop a habit of mind, a pattern. And that's what these are. These are these are patterns that have been repeated and repeated and repeated.
Yep.
You know, you are truly conditioned deep in your body.
Oh yeah.
That the reconditioning process, you know, isn't a one, it's not a one size fit all. And two, it's not a one-off thing. It's a reconditioning that does take inner work to say, okay, this competitive mindset does not serve me anymore because of who I am, because of what I'm trying to accomplish. Right. So reframing your goals is a big part of this, like you're saying. But it takes the work of interrupting that pattern and doing that every time it comes up, relearning from, okay, this is my limiting belief. This is keeping me from being who I actually am, not who I once was based on my sport. So, you know, hearing the experience that you've had, how you've seen that, you know, it's very clear that, you know, I mean, I even posted about my experience today, and I've told you this, when I did CrossFit that summer, that competitive nature in me came out, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It didn't, like, not the exercising. I didn't like who it made me.
Yeah.
As a person, and that sucked. That didn't feel good, you know.
And Madeline, honestly, that wasn't even on my mental radar. It wasn't then, because that, you know, specifically people that get into the CrossFit space, as far as coaches, end up being naturally a highly competitive person. So they can't really ever relate. And I give this to, you know, not being me, like mature behavior wise, but mature as a professional, and I've matured and gained experience. And now that's why, like, you want to compete, then that's fine. But here's why we don't really push that, you know, and our verbiage in class has to change. And this is going to be great for even my coaches to listen to, because sometimes, you know, when I was a young coach, I didn't realize that you were in my sessions, and I didn't realize that,
of course,
it was detrimental back then. You know, but it's crazy because I recognize it now. I recognize it even before we started having conversations. I recognize it in athletes, and I'm able to have some conversations. And you know what? And here's the thing. So if you were an athlete like me and I had a bad season, right? And I did a lot of work to have that bad season, right? I trained my butt off, right? I thought I ate right. I thought I did everything right. Me looking back on it, I realized that most of my help probably needed to be done in my head, right? But you know what I did instead? You know what I did? Because I didn't know how to get help. I did more work. I was more fanatic about my eating, right? I focused more on the physical part, because for me, it was something I knew I had control over, and that was easy. It was a win, right? But when you don't have control over your thoughts, right? And that's a very vulnerable thing, right? For you to say, okay, I need to get my head on straight. I'm going to need some guidance through this process. That's almost impossible to tell the person that had my personality that, and for them to accept. No, I would say, no, I only ran 6 miles a day, so now I'm going to run 12 miles a day. And then I'm going to weightlift in the afternoon, and then I'm going to go to soccer practice. And then I'm going to eat just carbs and just protein, no fat. I mean, egg whites all day. I'm never going to cheat. I'm not going to go out with my friends. Like, so you end up doing this, and it's like, okay, how do you get that athlete? What's the first step of intervention? Like, where does it come from? Does it come, like, it does come from me. Like I suggested, I'm like, and my suggestion is always, I want them to read something, you know, and I want them to read kind of like maybe not a mental toughness book, but just some kind of mental mindset kind of book there to maybe get some, you know, acknowledgement. Because it's a hard conversation to say to an athlete, because I run a for-profit business, right? So I don't even work in the school system. I'm hired by them for profit, saying, you're paying me $100 and something a month, and I'm telling you, you're asking me for training help. Okay, that's what you're asking me for with my mentality. And I'm saying, no, I don't think you need training help. I think you need to do less, a lot more. I think you need to chill the hell out. And I think we need to get a guide through this process. You know, and I would love to, like, and I'm going to continue. Now I have someone to refer out to, and I'm so happy. But what do you think that intervention should even look like? Because you see how it could be an awkward conversation for me,
Oh yeah.
right? So
Yes.
I struggle with that, and I see it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what's your, like, people are getting sent to you, or whether they're coming to you on their own or the school is sending you people.
Yeah.
What's the first intervention look like if they see that there is something that they're going to need help with guidance through the process?
Yeah. So, this is a challenge. This is one of the barriers to doing the mental performance work. Just like, similarly, if someone has or is needing the personal work that goes into like the mental health realm, the first step of going or seeking out a counselor, therapist, psychologist is the hardest part. It's hard because you are having to stop and look at yourself and recognize that something's not working, that you need to go outside of you to go more inward even, which
Mm-hmm.
is that seems backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But when we stop and think about it, um, it's pretty easy for me to be objective about other people's stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not involved, right? I'm not
Yeah.
emotionally
Mm-hmm.
involved. But when it's us, when it's our stuff, there's a potential for us to get, there's no words. There's really no words for it.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of get swept away when you don't know how to manage what comes up for you. Because we can get control of our thoughts. We can't necessarily control what comes up, but we can learn how to navigate them.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step, and I know the most people that I do work with that are really successful in their transformation, they do come to me. It is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the people that are have quite the objection, I hate to say it, but time is sometimes it, and
Mm-hmm.
lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And that person, this is harsh. This is very harsh. But
Mm-hmm.
for some people, the only way is to let them hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It totally sucks,
Mm-hmm.
especially for someone who's super compassionate and
Yeah.
cares and wants to help. For some people, the only thing is either something like I didn't personally start doing some serious personal work, unfortunately, until my younger cousin died.
Yeah.
I didn't think I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Actually, I think, this is horrible. I'm not going to cry. I think today is the anniversary of his death. And I just thought of that as I'm saying it out loud. Oh my God, it is. Okay. It's fine. Everything's okay.
Yeah, it'll be
Whew.
fine.
Okay. But it's just weird that actually
Mm-hmm.
came up that way. Sometimes that's what it is. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
horrible. For others, again, it's it's that performance that's so epic if you
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
And
And
you're like, heck.
and you got to think about, you're fighting against? You're fighting against their mind. And what did we just
Yeah.
say? Their mind is the most powerful muscle in
Yeah.
their body. So if
Yeah.
there's resistance there,
Mm-hmm.
how are you ever going to get that force field down?
Right.
It's like, and I understand what you're saying. Sometimes, like, I think we just got to let them learn and
Yeah.
help and help guide them through that process to be like,
Yeah.
let me be by your side, this, at
Right.
least with some intervention. So,
Yep.
we can troubleshoot stuff because, sometimes, like, I get pretty close to some of these athletes where I have a friendly, like,
Yeah.
I'm their friend,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I
Sure.
become friend with their parents.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, I'm so invested in the person.
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, this hurts. This
It
hurts
does.
watching them go through it. It really, really does.
Right. So what you can do really is, again, you already said this though, you're planting the seed,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're saying, oh, go read this post, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, wow, go read this. And then you do that you're just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
here's this little thing.
Yeah.
You're being consistent. You're consistently showing up for them. And again,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I do with my content right now. Really,
Yeah.
it's about, let me show up and help guide you to your aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's aha moment looks different and
Oh
requires
yeah.
something different.
Yep.
So if you as yourself, you as the coach, are
Mm-hmm.
able to just provide the seeds,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to them how much they water it.
Oh yeah.
It's up to that water then and that
Yeah.
care for
Oh
when it
yeah.
will actually take form
I mean, we're going to have this YouTube video for as long as there's video available in the world. So, I mean, for me, I may just be like, hey, I did a YouTube podcast about 3 years ago and it's still
Yeah.
relevant. I want you to take a listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want you to take a listen to it, and then we'll talk about it, and
Yes,
because
right,
I think like you answered the question and you answered my concerns, that I honestly have with quite a few athletes,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's definitely something that needs to be addressed because I'm seeing
right,
them at such a young age, and like I'm talking about, well, what's life going to be like for like when you're 30?
right.
How about when you're
That
35?
is
How
the
about how
concern.
about in a relationship? And some
It all
people aren't thinking
translates,
about that.
oh, no, well, especially as a kid, you don't think
Yeah.
about that.
No, I know. You have
Yeah,
no idea.
and so a
No
lot of
idea
the
how it affects you.
people, right, and a lot of the people I do work with, especially, again, the former athletes, they are, they're the ones that are more or less my age, right? But,
Mhm.
I don't recommend to everybody go get a PhD to work through your shiz, but I did
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I did
Wow.
that plus other personal work. And that's why I've created this program, my business to help guide and empower them to do this in a shorter period of time than mine. Mine was 7 years it took.
Yeah.
Oof, unpleasant.
Yeah.
So to be able to condense that and still get the same value, but you seeing it, so that person, my client, seeing it for
Mhm.
themselves within themselves,
Yeah.
um, is inspiring.
Yeah,
Such a
totally.
beautiful thing to watch, but it does require work. And so
Mhm.
that's the other thing. If people aren't going to work, there's not much you can do because
Yeah.
the mental
Yeah.
performance is up to them. It's
Mhm.
totally, in physical performance, like, okay, technically you cannot lift the weights for them. You're not.
Mhm.
They are doing that. They're
Mhm.
absolutely doing that. Uh, but there's something because of the mental stuff, you can't grab it.
Mhm.
You can't physically grab it. And that's what makes it harder. So the mental performance work is really for the person who is ready to take
Oh
action
yeah.
and they're willing to dive in,
Oh yeah.
maybe with the toe in the deep end first, but still
Mhm.
eventually they will be diving in to the deep end. And you have to be ready for that, otherwise it's like a Mack truck hitting you. And
Yeah, I think they have to be comfortable with a lot of self-reflection, and I
yes,
feel like from talking to you, you've been through that,
yeah,
and I would go out on a limb and say the majority of the work you've done in your career since being a professional, I don't think, and I could be way wrong, but I
sure,
don't think you've experienced a lot of pushback. Maybe some, right? Pushback
a
where
little
I
bit,
say you
yeah,
had some of this, and
yeah,
here's the reason why, is because you're relatable
sure,
and you've
thanks.
made, yeah, you're relatable because you've been through
Yeah,
some stuff, right? And
yeah,
I don't think there's an expert in the mind field anywhere that hasn't been through some stuff.
yes, yeah,
Certainly,
totally,
definitely not, because
yep,
usually what you said, what led you in that direction was personal to you,
right,
right? So you
yeah,
dove so far deep into it because that was your way of like, I need to figure this out too.
yeah,
Like, this is like my way here. And I find that so organic and so
yeah,
genuine, as far as, someone, coming to speak to you. I mean, this is our second call. So it took so now I'd say it took 2 hours of Dr. Madeline's time to have me trust her in definitely referring, like, this is what it should be. We're all in this health fitness space. You're in the
yeah,
health space.
yeah,
You're in the health fitness
right,
space. And we really, especially during this time, we
yeah,
need to come together and work together.
right,
We really,
totally,
we really do. We need to use each other's networks, and we need to have a referral process. We really
oh
do.
yeah,
Like, because I see it all the time. And I now I'm so happy that we reconnected, that
me
I
too,
have someone that I could like, well, listen, here's my first touch point. Go check out our Instagram. Then we'll talk.
yeah,
Then after that,
yeah,
YouTube video, because I see it and I need a
right,
process. And although this sounds like such a sloppy process, it's a process of me
oh totally,
getting them over to you because it's so delicate.
it
It's
is,
so delicate. And I see it so much. Like, I'm feeling like this conversation, even on the mental performance aspect of it, needs to be done at the high school level. It
Yeah.
needs to be done maybe at the parents meeting, like, because now they
Oh
invite me,
yeah.
they invite me in now to talk about what I'm
Cool.
going to do as a
Perfect.
coach and like why. And we barely talk about exercise. We talk about being a coachable athlete.
Okay.
You know, we talk about being a
Yeah.
coachable athlete. We talk about why we're working out. We talk about
Yeah.
some of the why, but a lot of it is, hey, a lot of people have aspirations to going on to that next level, and like being in the school system that we're in, we provide top level education.
Yep.
We also provide top level athletics. That doesn't mean you're going to be on a winning team all year round, but you're going to have coaches that care,
Yeah.
from the head coach all the way down to just a strength coach, because we're
Absolutely.
invested in you guys. And that's how my talk goes with the parents now.
Great.
You know, it's not about we're doing
Yeah.
the squat because of X, Y, and Z. Come
No.
on, you guys have a million internet articles to go over that with. I don't find that important anymore.
Yeah.
I don't,
No, it's about
you
that
know?
support. And again, like support is huge, and support and trust, like you've been talking
It
about,
is.
trust really is
It
so,
is.
so key. Especially when you're considering parents, it's their child,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it will
Mm-hmm.
always be their child, even if their child is 30 years old.
I'm still my mother's
Y
child.
oh my God,
I'm
same.
still my mother's child. I'm going to be
It's
40
fine.
this year.
Yeah, don't you worry. Hi, Mom, if you watch this.
Yeah.
Although she says she can't watch anything I talk on because she gets nervous.
Oh, really? My mom will be listening to this 2 or 3 times. Usually she hops on, Madeline.
She's
I'm
so
surprised
funny.
she's not on right now.
Well, my mom was kind of like the nervous person in the stands too, kind of like she cheered, but she was like, ah. And I get it. I get it. And when
It's crazy.
I'm, supporting my athletes as well, I feel that too. I remember the
Yeah.
first men's lacrosse game at Drexel I went to last year. I was nervous,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Mm-hmm.
comical because I'm like, what's going on? Madeline,
Yeah.
get it together.
Yeah.
But it's because I cared,
Yeah.
and I was invested in their well-being,
Mm-hmm.
their experience, and them as humans, and then their performance
Yep.
because of that. So
Yep.
really being able to relay that. And again, I think that's the key to helping these individuals do this transformational work, is
Totally.
building that relationship, building that dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
because, and that's why actually my business is my name,
Yeah.
Madeline M. Barlow. Madeline
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Barlow is my full name. Because if I'm working with someone, that's just it. It's me. I am
Yep.
working with them. They're working with me. And that is what will allow them to level up
Yeah.
in whatever way they want to,
Mm-hmm.
because of the, again, the energy between us. And I do all my work online, at least like for my business thus far.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it all online.
Yeah.
And so even in that way, just like you and I are right now,
Totally.
there's that
Totally.
cool exchange of energy. So yeah, it's about that dynamic.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Well, Madeline, I want to thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming to hang out with me today.
Awesome.
Everyone's going to listen to this. Please subscribe to our YouTube page so you can get this stuff sent to you automatically as soon as I upload it. Also, follow Dr. Madeline Barlow's Instagram, please.
Yes, please.
You have to go give it a follow. Read the content. Even if you don't want to read the content at first, just watch her. I don't know if she's doing TikTok or whatever.
I've
she's
done a
doing
couple
on there,
TikToks. They're
because
funny, right? They're
I
good.
keep on watching them. I'm like, this is like addictive, and I won't download TikTok. My wife downloaded it. Is like on.
Don't do it. It's very
I don't
addictive.
think I'm gonna do it, but the content, what she posts up there is valuable. She posts some gems up there which really have you thinking. So definitely go follow her like immediately. As soon as you listen to this, just hit follow. All right.
Yeah.
Again, it was a pleasure. We're gonna talk again, Maddie. All right.
Yes, please.
Definitely.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good Memorial Day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care.